Ahoy there, YouTube! We're back again today for more of our Gencon Bonanza Explosion Blowout coverage. We're here live at my hotel room. Hey, what's up? Brought to you by our amazing Kickstarter backers. Thank each and every one of you. You send us here, we have a blast, we shoot these videos, and sincerely though, you guys are the best. You guys and gals are the best for having us do this. I mean, we have so much fun, and hopefully you enjoy the content. But let's give some shout-outs to our amazing sponsors. We have Tasty Minstrel Games, who sponsors everything year-round. We have Bleem Games, who has Dark Mages, which is coming out. They're redoing that, and it's coming out later this year. And then we have Black Souls, which is going to be coming out from Medieval Lores on Kickstarter very, very soon. Give them some love, because when you give them some love, you're giving me some love somehow. I'm not sure how that works, but yeah. Check them out. So this is our Friday, Saturday recap. We were hoping to do a recap each and every day at the end of the night, but it's just not on the cards. So we're lumping it together. It is Saturday evening. We've done a lot. We've shot a lot. We've posted a lot. But I'm going to tell you about what I saw, what I liked, what I disliked. Well, not really what I disliked. Just my thoughts on Friday and Saturday and what I saw. So first and foremost, we found this really obscure, really awesome booth called Mind's Eye Games. Mind's Eye LLC, and they had some really cool games. We shot some interviews. The guy was super freaking nice, and all the games had like some really interesting mechanisms, and we watched them, and we got a chance to sit down and play one of them, and unfortunately the rules were not very good, which was a huge bummer, and it kind of soured the entire experience of the game, so I'm hoping it's not like that for the rest of them, but still a very cool find. If you can get past some crummy rules, they have some very cool games. So a little hidden gem there. Mind's Eye Games LLC. They had some really neat looking games. Continuing onward, we did the Japanime Games Party last night, and we've done that last year as well. Wholeheartedly recommended it last year. Wholeheartedly recommended it this year. It was an absolute blast. We're going to do a full video on it probably later this week or sometime, but it's a $50 ticket, so it's a premium event, and it's at the bottom of a bar. You go there, you instantly get a door prize, so you're going to be getting a game. I think this year it was Terra for Mars, so you're going to get a game, you're going to get a play mat, you're going to get 2 drink tickets, which you'll immediately probably redeem for a Long Island iced tea or a craft beer, so slowly but surely that $50 is whittling down. There was a really nice smorgasbord. Like, oh, I could just talk about the food all night. They had like these Southwestern egg rolls, and they had sliders, and they had the toasted bread. What was that with the stuff, the cheesy stuff? Do you remember what that was, Eric? The cheesy stuff on it, oh, so good. They had the salad, they had the guacamole. It was great. Great food. It's a dinner. You get 2 drinks, you get a game. They gave away tons of door prizes. They had like this, was it a dynamite nurse contest where it was pretty much a bunch of dudes, dressing up in cosplay, dressing up like dressing up in dresses pretty much. And it is always a blast. It is a lot of fun. There's a picture floating around the internet of me in this lovely purple dress because I got into the spirit as well. And it was just a lot of fun to be had by all. So I'd say every year, wholeheartedly recommend it. It's a really cool event as long as you're willing to leave the inhibitions at the door and have a good deal of fun, get some drinks, get some good food, and hang out with some fun people. So, continuing onward, we finally got a video on Munchkin CCG. I learned about this at Origins, but it was, like kind of a tight mouth thing. They couldn't do a video yet, but we finally got a chance to shoot some stuff with Hunter from Steve Jackson Games, and I am super stinking excited about this. Now, if you know the channel, I'm not a CCG guy. I've never reviewed a CCG. I've never really played a CCG, except for Magic, and that was because I wanted to get in with this girl that I was dating at the time. That's another story for the end of a video or something like that. But this looks really cool. It's got a lot of the humor and the charm of Munchkin. It seemed like it was light enough. It had some really cool mechanisms. It seemed like the kind of game that did not take itself too seriously. It had like a cool bluffing aspect. I think this is going to be huge for them. I know a lot of you're not Munchkin fans, but Eric Lang designed it. I mean, Eric frickin' Lang is a heck of a designer. This looks really awesome. Very excited for that one. That is Munchkin CCG. Unfortunately, that's not coming out till next year. Now, continuing some stuff that's not going to be out, but we just kind of stumbled upon it. The next game is called Gravity Warfare. Now, this is going to be coming to Kickstarter in about 2 months, and this is a really beautiful game. They 3D printed everything. It was in the double exposure playtest hall, and essentially it's got one of those little balancing things, it's like a bird or whatever, and it just balances on there and it's never going to fall over. Except the game premise is you're trying to get your pieces onto this without them falling over, and it has this really giant like planet hanging up there, and there's like special abilities you can do. It looked like a very light, simple game. Like sometimes you'd have to put your pieces up there with chopsticks or drop them on there or do various different cool stuff like that. It looks really stinking cool. Wholeheartedly recommend checking out that Kickstarter when it comes up. That's Gravity Warfare. Very cool looking Kickstarter game that we just happened to stumble upon. Continuing on with another game that looked absolutely amazing, that was Stuffed Fables from Plaid Hat Games. This is from the same guy who did Mice and Mystics. We got a chance this morning to interview him, and that game looks really cool. And that's one thing that I've really noticed this year. There's a lot of games that are pushing the boundaries between board games and role-playing games, and I'm excited to see what other people think about that. For me personally, I have very little experience in role-playing, but my son Sean is really big into stories and telling stories himself, so I'm really excited to play one of these games with him as he progressively gets older. And this is a children's adventure, and the book is like a 100-page book, but as you turn the pages, each page is going to be like a different map that you're going to be exploring, and it's kind of like, it's like 100 different little board games, but you're going to be playing them as you progressively go through this role-playing story. It looks really insanely cool. It had some gorgeous artwork. Very excited to see what they do with that. I mean, Plaid Hat has an incredibly rock-solid track record, so I'm sure it's going to be really good. That's Stuffed Fables from Plaid Hat Games. That looks really, really unique. The next one is Game On Tabletop. We got a chance to sit down for a presentation of this. We shot a whole 10-minute video of it, so I'm not going to go too in details about it. But this is an upcoming crowdfunding website that they're hoping to compete with Indiegogo and Kickstarter, but it's completely devoted to board games, tabletop games, dice, playing cards, getting cons funded, things of that ilk. And they have a lot going for them. Like, it seems to have fixed a lot of things that Kickstarter just does not seem to care about fixing. Like PayPal, Stripe. It's a lot more user friendly, a lot more Kickstarter content creator friendly. You know what I mean? The people that create the Kickstarters. And I guess it's been running for the last 4 years in France, so everything is already tested and works really well. We did a presentation, and it looked incredibly impressive, so I'm very excited to see what happens with this because, I'm a person who uses Kickstarter, obviously, to do the Gencon Bonanza. We funded our own game before, and I love Kickstarter. I love the concept of Kickstarter, and I think it's fantastic, but Kickstarter really is kind of lazy with upgrading things and making things better personally about the website, which you might not see, if you're just a person who browses Kickstarter, but they could do a lot of little things better, and this website looks to do a lot of those little things better. Obviously, I'm very skeptical because they have to tackle the beast that is Kickstarter, which, it's like if you tried to take down Walmart, you might do every single thing better than Walmart right now, but it's going to be hard to tackle Walmart because they're just so dang big. But that looks really, really cool. Check that out. That is Game On Tabletop. I am very excited to see what they do with that, and I think if they could get a couple big companies to put their Kickstarters on there, like a Cool Mini or Not or something like that, they could definitely get a snowball going. So, we also had my buddy Nick who went to the AEG Big Game Night because we like to do that every year and see what's inside the box, what's in the box. And I will say I was very pleased with the box. Actually, I can show you what's in the box right now. You want to skip that video. Mad Science Expo, which apparently is a new game released by them, 2017 release. We have Cat Lady, which once again is a new game released by them. We have 60 Seconds to Save the World, which really intrigues me, which, once again, 2017 release, so big way to step it up. And then the big one that everybody got, which didn't actually go in a box, was Oath of the Brotherhood, The Chosen. So 4 brand spanking new releases from AEG for the big game night. So it looks like they really took to heart, the fact that everybody trashed last year's AE big game night and how terrible the box was, and it looks like they're getting that path corrected. So very excited to hopefully see what comes in the box next year. One thing I'm very excited about is a new company called Vice Games, which is going to focus completely on adult games. And we got a chance to talk to them, and they have 2 new games that they're coming out right now with Kama Sutra, which many people have heard of. It's by Bruno Fedudi, a very famous designer, and that video is pretty wild. But we shot an interview with Matt from Vice Games, and that essentially is a game where you're going to be You're going to break up into teams of 2, and you're going to be trying to get into Kama Sutra positions based on what a card is, and you're going to try and pop a balloon between you and your partner. Whoever pops the balloon first is going to win the round, get the card. It looks like it's a lot of stinking fun. Me and Matt tried to get into a cartwheel position and pop a balloon. I was not able to perform, unfortunately, because I was laughing too hard and people were starting to gather around and watch us, but that game is going to be really stinking fun if you have the right game group for it, obviously. They also had another game called Come Together. I'm not going to go too much into the nitty-gritty details of it, but it's almost a game about fetishes, and it's designed for a couple, and it essentially is... It's a way to explore boundaries as a couple, and as I was sitting there in the interview, I was like, this is a really cool idea, and he was explaining it more and more, and once you get past the shock value of how it's talking about, some very kinky stuff that, generally not family-friendly kind of stuff, it really started to dawn on me that, like, this is actually an amazing couple tool, because I know, I'm personally with that way with my wife, actually, where it's like, you don't necessarily feel too comfortable to completely come out and say, oh, would you be willing to try this, dear? And this seemed like a really interesting, safe way to explore what you're interested with your significant other. And it went from just me saying, wow, this is a really cool idea for a game, to me saying, this needs to be in every marriage counselor's office in the country. Like, it is that stinking cool. So I am very excited to see what comes with Vice games, because I think that's a really cool concept, just focusing on those adult games, but at the same time, making sure that each game they release is something that's going to be rock solid, not just putting out some crap. So very excited for what comes with Vice games, and wholeheartedly recommend checking out Kama Sutra. I asked for a review copy. They said they only have not just enough for the show, but I'm hoping to get that in the near future, and so you'll see a review of that in the next couple months, hopefully. I want to give a big shout out to Exploding Kittens, who once again continues to be really good at marketing. Last year they had Exploding Kittens urinal cakes, which I thought was ingenious. This year, their booth is actually kind of small. Like, it's a small booth, but it's a giant booth. So their booth pretty much entails, there's like 2 tables set up where they have Exploding Kittens and Bears versus Babies, or whatever their new game is. We'll probably interview them about them. But most of their booth is a giant, 8-foot tall vending machine that actually is a vending machine, but inside the vending machine there's 5 people working the vending machine, and you can you put your money in, and then you hit whatever these giant buttons are, and the buttons are like this big. We're going to shoot a video showing you exactly what it is tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But it'll come out with one of their games or an expansion or a pillow or something like that. But there's a $1 random button where you put in $1 and you get something completely random, like a Frisbee? Yeah, you might get a Frisbee. A toothbrush? Yeah, you might get a toothbrush. A watermelon? Yes, a miniature watermelon. A husk of corn? Yes, you might get a husk of corn. Just all sorts of absurd things, and there's a line. There is consistently a line to get to this thing. Just absolutely genius marketing. I love seeing things like that. They have a very bare bones booth. There's 2 freaking tables, and yet they're going to have one of the most talked about booths of all of Gencon. So that is kudos to them. I might not be the hugest fan of the game. I think it's an okay game, but being able to market like that is genius. Anything else to talk about? No, we're going to an upper deck party tonight, which we'll inevitably cover in the Sunday recap, because by the time we get back, we will probably have had a little bit too much to drink, and we'll be tired as any get up. But this has been my Friday/Saturday recap. We're having an amazing time at Gen Con, seeing a lot of really cool stuff. Thank you to everybody who's came up and said hi, talked games, talked shop. I really enjoy meeting each and every one of you, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.